Cincinnati's ready for the Big 12. It was time for them.
I am fired up.
It's a blessing to be able to be in this league with y'all, putting on for UC.
Cincinnati, a basketball school.
And there he goes. Touchdown! Bearcats!
Brookwamba again. Another slam inside.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the GoBeercats podcast, part of the Catskeller Social Club and a member of the College Huddle community. I'm Brandon. That's Darin. And here down below, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see right away our special guest of the week here, Eric Boggs. It says the Ohio podcast underneath your name there, Eric. But we got a lot more than that to talk about today as well.
Sure.
First off, welcome into the show.
Thanks for having me in, guys. It's a pleasure to be here. Looking forward to talk to you guys about the College Huddle and everything that's going on that front, and introducing all of your great listeners and fans to this great community that has started. Beautiful.
Darin, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing good. It's not too bad for a Monday. I later this week, me and the wife are going to go down to Nashville. Try to find a place to move to. So, yeah.
Dang. Well, we hate to lose you here in the greater Cincinnati area.
Yeah, I'll still be podcasting though. Yeah,
that's the beautiful thing about this technology, right? When's the move scheduled for? Do you have a timetable?
I think we were looking at mid-June.
Dang, that's way sooner than later. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, keep us updated on that. I personally here, I am very sore. I just set a world record for mowing my lawn before we started recording here. Usually it takes me about an hour. I finished in like 32 minutes. I don't know how I did that, but I'm going to pay for it tomorrow, I'm sure. At that, and I golfed 18 holes yesterday, set a personal best. I broke 110 for the first time. So, Tiger Woods, watch out, or Scotty Scheffler, watch out. Who knows what's to come. But gentlemen, we got a lot to talk about. Like I said, we're going to talk College Huddle, maybe some Ohio State things, as people could guess in the background there, or on your hat, your shirt there, Eric. This is the GoBeercats podcast, though, and we like to share a beer with our guests first. So I'll ask you, Eric. I guess I should say it's not limited to beer. Spirits, beverages of any kind are welcome here. You sipping on anything here this evening?
Yeah. So I've got the nice little cup here, but today is the hottest day we've had this year. I don't know what it was down there in the state of Cincinnati, but up here in C-Bus, we hit 81 today. And so it was a summery type of drink. So I actually opened up a strawberry monster and mixed it up with a little Buckeye vodka. So we've got a nice summery, fruity, tropical drink that we're going to be sipping on, talking to you Bearcats.
Absolutely. I like that. I appreciate that. That's a cocktail right there. That's above and beyond a beer. Darin, what about you? I know you don't have any of those Cappy snacks left.
Yeah, no, I don't. Although I've gotten some other people hip to those, apparently. So they're spreading. Pretty tasty. Just some probiotic soda right now. Nothing too fancy. I'm going to work out after this, so I got to keep it a little clean before I go work out.
I earned the beer today after mowing, and what is this? 18 school days left now. Not that I'm counting, but there's 18 school days left. My buddy who lives in Cleveland now brought this beer down last weekend or so. It's from Bookhouse Brewing up in Cleveland. Not a very big place at all, but this is a big one here. A bourbon barrel aged Belgian quad. Reasons to be cheerful. I thought the name of the beer sounded about right. Reasons to be cheerful. We all have plenty of those to go around, which we'll talk about here today. This one's almost 14%. So cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Yeah, that's a big beer. Holy cow. It's delicious, but that's pretty boozy. I might as well be sipping that Buckeye vodka there straight with you, Eric. Holy cow. Of course, time for beer brought to you by the Delhi Liquor Store. They have you covered for everything you need, from tailgates to parties, wine, liquor. I'm sure we have Buckeye vodka. anything in between, they got you covered. And I think we're set, gentlemen. The stage is set. The drinks are poured. Eric, this is kind of why we brought you in here now. Not many, but several months ago, you had reached out to us on Twitter, asking the Catskeller Social Club, not just the GoBeercats podcast, but everything that is encompassed within the CSC to join this thing that I had no idea what we were getting into. I guess I didn't understand the vision at the time, but it was very clear that you guys did, who were working on this behind the scenes. That we announced we're a part of now, the College Huddle. It's officially launched after months of hard work. I'm sure the scale of this thing is much bigger than I would have anticipated. Tell us about the College Huddle, what it is, how it got started, and I guess I don't know. Just tell us, give us the background story.
Yeah, so a Purdue fan, a Buckeye fan, and another fan walk into a bar. No, that's it's just kinda. So I was a part of another network, a defunct network now, a network that no longer exists. But in that network, I had met the podcast that I run, the OHIO podcast. We had met some guys from Purdue who we struck up a great relationship with, and became great supporters of one another's podcasts and our work. And them, along with JR, who runs the College Huddle YouTube side of things, who some of you might have heard of Mark Rogers, the voice of college football. JR is a part of that. And the three of us got together and we asked ourselves, what is the podcasting community missing? Specifically in the sphere of college sports and college football. And you look out there and there's a lot of podcasts. I mean, there's a ungodly number of Ohio State podcasts alone, right? But the thing that makes, I think, podcasting so much fun from a fan's perspective is collaborating with other podcasts, specifically when news breaks or you're about to face that team that week, and getting that insight from another fan who follows their team like you do. Now, I am very much a follower of Ohio State media, but I will be the first person to tell you, and I don't know if it's like this down for you guys in Cincinnati. I assume it is. I mean, I'm a Reds Bengals fan, so I feel like I know a little bit of what's going on down there in the southwest corner of our great state. But the bought and paid for media, as I like to call them, lose a fan's perspective a lot of times. And that's what makes, I believe, fan podcasting so unique, is the passion that we bring to the table. And sometimes we're like truth serum to the fan base. When they lose, we're pissed, and we're going to tell you why, and we're going to complain and do all those great things, and we're going to hammer the desk and all of those. And when they win, we're going to cheer like crazy. And if you follow the team and you sit in a press box, you are not allowed to do those things. And so that is what, personally, when you think about the fan experience, there's nobody out there that has created, and I don't like to use the word network, but I'll use the word community, of like-minded podcasts that are fan-driven. You can find a lot of media-driven networks that have most of the teams covered, but you can't find a community of fan-driven podcasts that gather together that have so much in common. And so that is really the genesis of the College Huddle, is a bunch of us decided, how big could we grow this thing if we all reached out to like-minded podcasts like our own? And so we started in January, and the goal was, when we launched at the beginning of April, to have 10. And when we launched, we had 70. So obviously there's a lot of good, and that's the thing is in Brandon and Darin, is I didn't just reach out to any podcast I could find that was fan driven. I listened to a lot of them, and there was a lot that we didn't like. We rejected. It had to be people who we felt comfortable working with. And that's the thing is I think we have this one of the strongest communities out there of podcasts because everybody is so similar and like-minded in the fact that we are passionate about our school we cover and we're willing to work with each other. And so that was basically the genesis of it. We have a website, we have the YouTube channel. We're building all these great things for the community behind the scenes this summer. And we feel by fall that we will have something that personally can go out there and challenge some of the big boys because we're bringing something different than what they have. And that is the fan love and the fan experience on the podcasting side of things with all the other things that they offer, written media, website, videos, etc.
Yeah, you touched on a big thing there, especially about paid for media. I mean, now occasionally they get it right. There's just some just in the world of sports, there are some really just good podcasts out there that are run by a league or run by a team, are just at least heavily associated with that, and they're really good. But a lot of times, they also get kind of put under when people really find out about them. So I think there's a balance that you also have to strike. Obviously, we have the fan perspective, but you also want to provide quality and do your due diligence. How do you strike that balance?
Oh man, that's a really good question, and I think it varies between podcast to podcast. To be honest with you, on the national or on the big stage where we all come together and we say, hey, here's the College Huddle. So you got your conference specific shows, right? You guys would be a part of the Big 12 Huddle. I guess reacting to the news that comes out and having that opinion is what kind of sets us apart. But at the same time, understanding that when we deliver that content, Darin, it's really important that we know what we're talking about, that it's entertaining, number one. Like if it's not entertaining, no one's going to watch it, right? Like let's just be honest. It's entertaining. We know what we're talking about, and the quality is there. It's good. It's just good content, right? People will consume good content, whether you've got a green screen or whether you've got $1 million backdrop studio. If it's good, people are going to watch it and they're going to consume it. If it's not, good luck. The only difference is they've got a head start because, as Jim Harbaugh would say, they're born on third base, where we actually had to get up and draw the walk, steal second, hopefully get to third on a pass ball, right? Like we've got to do the work where a lot of it's handed to them is really the difference.
Yeah, Eric, I wanted to elaborate on some more of those things here. Like for me, like especially if we're talking about like ESPN, that the giant that it is, it always really annoyed me when the anchors or whatever you want to call them tried to hide their bias. Even though you knew exactly.
So you don't like Kurt Herbstreit, huh?
Well, that's a whole other story. I
don't
like
worry,
him
neither do we.
I like him better than the old geezer that sits beside him on Saturdays. But I'm thinking of what's the he's a huge Boston Celtics fan, and for a long time he always tried to hide that, and I was just so annoyed. Like if I would respect your opinion more if you just tell me, hey, this is the team I'm partial to. Now here's what I think. And I think there's a lot of that in the big media today. And as long as we're upfront about it, I can still consume it. I can understand where they're coming from. But to go along with what you said about it being fan driven, I know exactly what I'm getting into. I know if I'm going to turn on the Golden Hurricast show, remember the community that we've worked through before, I know I'm going to get really good stuff about Tulsa. And when we were in the American with them, that was our go-to. We collaborated many times. There's a sense of like openness when you're consuming fan-driven content because you know exactly what you're finding, as compared to sometimes it just seems shady for people to try to hide that bias and then play off something different on TV.
Yeah,
So
I got a great example for you on this, Brandon. So my podcast, we collaborated with, and this is an unbelievable name, but it truly is their podcast name, Cocaine Willie. It's the K-State podcast, and it's named after their mascot back in like the 80s, who had like crazy eyes and was basically just a guy in a regular attire dressed up with a wildcat head, and it was just look it up, it's wild. And the students nicknamed him Cocaine Willie, and so they named their whole podcast after it. And it's great fun. But we had them on, and we wanted their honest, truthful opinion about their transfer quarterback who came to Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, hey, we're getting some conflicting things here from the media. And we want to know from you guys who watched him for 4 years what the truth is. And they were unbiased and were completely, well, I shouldn't say that. They were very biased, actually. But their bias was surprising to us, because they were like, look, we think he's going to do a great job for you. Here's what he brings to the table. Here's the kind of quarterback he was, but it was time for him to move on, and here's why. And you didn't hear any of this from the Ohio State media at all. Nothing. And so getting that kind of fan perspective is what makes this completely unique. And a lot of fun, just to be honest with you. It is so fun to jump on here on a Monday night and get a drink and chat with you guys. And imagine if this was the week before Cincinnati and Ohio State. What kind of fun this would be. We'd probably be making bets and things, right? It'd be a lot of fun.
I leave all the betting to Brandon usually. I let him play those games. I mean, it's funny you mentioned you mentioned Kirk Herbstreit. Both of you mentioned Kirk Herbstreit. And hiding bias. I think he kind of falls into the opposite trap that even kind of humble podcasters like ourselves can fall into, is being trying to be just objective but opposite of your actual opinions, because you've seen it before. Okay, why is he turning against Ohio State? And he's doing this to sound like his opinion is more structured, because look at me, I'm not being biased towards my school. And they try so hard, they move in the opposite direction, and that comes across false. I think it's great when not just bias kind of shows for some of these anchors, but when you can tell they're really still a fan of the sport they cover. And here's some bias here. I remember Joey Galloway talking about the Bearcats, not the year we went to the CFP, but a year before that, where he really thought we got snubbed coming out of that. And they laughed at him. They legit laughed at him on set. And he was so heated. But he thought that would be a good narrative. He thought that there was a chance that team could show something. And that comes from the perspective of being a fan of the sport. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily, okay, well, these guys have X, Y, and Z 5 stars, and they're expected to do this and that. They're just historically better. Yeah. I think moments like that, are rare in the big time media. So. Yeah,
they are rare in the big time media, but they're not rare on our shows, right? No. And that's like so. This all stems from the Jim Rome era, back when. I don't know your guys' age. I'm assuming I'm older than both of you. But back in the Jim Rome era, when people would call in, he would say, have a take and don't suck.
Don't suck. Yeah.
Right? Like that was his. And so in a lot of ways, podcasting is birthed from that. And so we have to have takes, and we have to, be very passionate about how we feel on something. And so when that comes out from time to time on television, it's a great example you gave, Darin, of Joey Galloway and his support of Cincinnati that year. And here's the thing I've learned about some of those guys is they'll flip on their opinion and they'll go really hard the other way. And it's because that's what sells ratings for them, right? Where for us, a lot of ways, and I'm not none of us are getting rich doing this. I mean, most of us are losing money doing this, right? So it's not like we do this to try to get ratings and things. We do this because we love our school that we're talking about. And I think that's the biggest difference in all reality. So, and hopefully that comes through the YouTube and it comes through the iTunes, and you can hear that passion based off of who you're listening to.
Eric, tell our listeners. I know they're on the College Huddle website, which is kind of maybe like the jump off spot for this whole thing, where you can find. I mean, there's articles there's already an article that I've written that's linked to the website, which there should be another one tomorrow. Heads up.
All right, good deal.
And but if we're looking, if we're like, what are we going to find if I'm a college football fan, college basketball fan, college sports fan, and I'm looking for what am I going to find? What kind of content am I going to find on the website?
Sure. So the website's structured in twofold. Number one, you have the articles that you can find, and they're broken down by conference. And of course, if you're a G5 school, we have you covered as well. We have an entire G5 section, and they do great work. A lot of those podcasts are phenomenal. But every article is broken down even further from there on who wrote it and what podcast are they from, and what podcast is of the school that the article is about. So me being a Ohio State fan, I'll write a lot of articles that are from other schools, but underneath the article, you'll see the link to the podcast about the team I'm talking about. There you go. Arizona State, for instance. Beautiful. I wrote that one, right? So I'm not an Arizona State fan, but I enjoy sports writing. It was my background when I came out of high school. And so we'll write an article. And then at the very bottom of the article, you will find a link to the Arizona podcast that is represented in College Huddle, which happens to be Stomp the Bus, right? And so if you click on that, you will find all the links that they provided, including their YouTube channel, their Twitter account, if they have a website, etc. And as you're scrolling through the website, thank you for doing that, Brandon. There you go. There's your Cincinnati guys right there, Catskeller, right? And the three different. And I think you guys maybe have a fourth new one now too. Did I see that correctly?
We do, yeah. We got to get that logo updated. Yeah, we got to get the Bearcat bunch on there.
There you go. And so as your links grow, as you guys get more links, we'll put those up for you guys as well. And there you can see there's your latest YouTube RSS feed for you guys. But if you even go back one step, if you look at the different conferences, each one of those drop downs has a school. And if you click on just the school, not the podcast, but the school. So, click on Cincinnati. That'll take you to the Cincinnati page where you can find some information on your schedule, some football statistics, and then the articles that you write will be collected there over time. And so it is all linked together and very user-friendly for the reader or listener to find the information they need. And of course, what this is designed to do is if anybody stumbles into the College Huddle that hasn't found or discovered you guys yet, everything is designed to get them to go to your page, to find your links, to find your podcast, to discover you guys, because that's what this is about, is growing your podcast through the Huddle, growing your community through the larger community, which is the College Huddle community. And so you guys will see not only that through the website, but you'll see Darin and Brandon hopefully eventually on the Big 12 Huddle and maybe even the National Huddle. We have a lot of great shows on that, on the YouTube side of things that they can collaborate with. And again, this is exposing your brand to an even broader audience and hopefully get some more eyeballs towards you guys so that you guys can grow your community and your brand as well.
It's all good stuff. I know when as we were releasing the maps of the podcast, covering
Wasn't that
the
cool?
US, so cool that they're already 3 or 4, maybe more. That I stopped counting, maybe around 3 or 4 podcasts that we had already collaborated with. And before Darin came along to co-host with me and on the show, that whole idea was collaborating with other podcasts, like-minded fans, and it will be not to say that idea is going away because Darin's here. No, Darin's just adding to the greatness of the show. But yeah, like that's something that we believed in, and I think the idea that that Catskeller Social Club was founded on as well. So certainly a good fit here for College Huddle. College Huddle, the website on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, pretty much all social media accounts everywhere for Cincinnati fans as we continue to contribute to that. Definitely. And as the college landscape changes of super conferences or anything in between. I'm sure you'll be able to find.
You bring that up, Brandon. Can I touch on that for just a minute?
We did a whole show on it last week. Please, I'm still traumatized from it.
So the idea, one of the things that we talked about early on when we were creating the foundation for this new adventure that we're a part of, was the fact that college sports are changing so rapidly. And if you're not in a community that can change with it, it really affects you as a brand owner, as someone who's trying to build their personal brand and podcast. And, so for instance, we were a part of a Big Ten network. But what about the guys who are part of an ACC network? Or God forbid, we're a part of the Pac-12 network a year ago. What now, right? The great thing about the College Huddle is it's just as simple as us going click, click. You're good, and you got all these people to collaborate with, all these people to talk to, and it's only going to get bigger. And as things change, we'll change just as rapidly with it. There's no like, oh my gosh, what happens is we're falling apart here type of thing, which you're seeing in some of the big media, by the way. The big media is just gobbling each other up. And it's almost just like college football. Like you're going to have 3 big media markets that own everything, and that's it. But what's great is there's such a hunger from fans for something different. That's why Barstool Sports is a multi-million-dollar company. It's unique. It's different. It's not for everybody. I understand that. And the College Huddle is like that. It is very unique. It is different. You can find fan-driven podcasts from 70 different schools, and we're building the media side of things now that is fan perspective, right? So we can be as biased as we want to. You best believe I'm going to write articles about that stinking cheating team from up north, and they're going to write articles about how we're a bunch of crybabies here in the state of Ohio. It's going to happen. That's fine. That's great, because you know what? That's what the fan bases are doing too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, not to pitch ideas here, but I kind of have this idea since we've been invited to the huddle, and maybe you guys even have this coming this fall. I don't think it'd be a bad idea to do a top 25, because the network's so big, a top 25 whip around show. After released either on Tuesday, or Sunday afternoon, or just Monday. You go Monday night. Invite one from each top 25 team that week, just for like a nice little blurb, someone host. Say that Tulsa mixed in at number 25, they come on first, whoever runs their podcast. So they talk about why their team is great, why we deserve to be here this week. All right, thanks for coming on. Boom. All right, Arizona State, you're up next at 24. Where that podcast, come on, say something. I thought that would be a good idea. Obviously, you can tell me it's a silly idea, but
No, it's not silly. And actually, you're. I guess right here we'll break the news for everybody, right? So, we are going to have a top 25, because one of the things I absolutely hate is the top 25 voted on by the media. The coaches poll's even worse, by the way. I mean, it's absolutely dumb. Who watches the most sports? Fans, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to have a top 25, but it's going to be unique. It's going to be unique. And we're kind of hashing out how we're going to do this to take our bias out of it. So maybe I have to do a top 25 without the Buckeyes, and you can vote for everybody but yourself type of thing. Maybe we could do that. We're going to have, also we're going to have power rankings by conference. That's going to be a lot of fun. This is going to create content for you guys, by the way, which is what you're really talking about, Darin, is creating content. And so whether we have a national show for that or not, that might be a little hard to get going at first, but maybe it's a possibility. But we're going to have that. And so someone from your podcast is going to be designated or chosen by you guys or volunteered to say, hey, I will contribute every Sunday of submitting that top 25 to the guys to count up tally it all up. And then on Monday, we will release the College Huddle top 25. I think it's going to be drastically different than what you see nationally. And also the power rankings by conference is going to be a lot of fun too. So that's something to look out for. Those are things we're going to offer. Guys, like we had, when we launched on April 9th, we had 77,000 views in the first 24 hours. And we spent exactly $30 on that. So when we release a commercial in August, here's my hope. I'm hoping that Dr. Pepper Fansville jumps on board with us. I think it's a perfect marriage, man. Like, they were making fun of everybody having a podcast. Here we are.
Yep.
Like, this is us. Here we are, Fansville, right? I would love to see Dr. Pepper jump on board with us and do something like that. So if you're listening and you know someone in Pepsi Bottling Company, hit me up. We'd love to talk. But I think come August, when we really spend some money on this thing right before football starts, I really believe we're gonna jump up. It's gonna help everybody's podcast, number one, but number two, I think the College Huddle is going to get a name. And the people who've discovered us already, who are in the know, have told me that what we have is not only unique, it's very powerful, and it has caught the eyes of some of the big boys. They're a little worried because what we have going on can really affect them. And so, because people are going to say, they want the first click. That's what everybody wants. They want your first click. Well, ESPN's probably going to get most of the first clicks, but who's getting those next ones, right? That's what we're fighting for. So if we can jump up there and, we can rattle the cages of some of the fewer, bigger guys, let's do it, right?
Absolutely. Love it. Eric, you've been great. I hope our listeners definitely have a better understanding of not only what we're helping contribute to here, but where to find everything. Of course, I'll link it in the show notes to make it easier for everyone. We certainly want to be respectful of your time. So the last thing that we said that we would give you an opportunity to do is if you had any questions for us,
sure,
over a wide variety of topics, we'd open up that to you before we let you go. So you have any burning questions for us before we hop off here?
We talked a little bit about this, Brandon, you and I did. And, there's this, the Buckeye fans a lot of times will kind of look down at Cincinnati and go, they're not really Big Ten. When you guys joined the Big 12, like, a lot of us went, especially when it comes to recruiting. Like, we want to make sure that we're the big dogs in the state when it comes to recruiting. And Cincinnati, as you guys like to call yourselves, the state of Cincinnati, like, it's like, you're your own entity. But if the Big 12 were to, I guess, one day fold into the Power 2, which I think we are marching towards that very soon. Do you guys believe that Cincinnati can one day become like a Michigan State to Michigan and become Ohio State's in-state rival? Like, do you think that's a real possibility? Because I think it is, actually.
There's a world where that exists. We have to continue success on the field always. Like, that's always going to, because like winning cures a lot. That's what ultimately brings eyes to your stadiums, to your TVs. We have to capture, some T-shirt fans as well, which we've kind of started to do. I tell Brandon all the time that CFP run really pushed for, maybe just some UC alums who weren't into football, but maybe were in football and basketball, into exploring what other sports we had to offer, and kind of take some more pride in just some of the extra things and celebrate the smaller accomplishments in the university. So I think if that sentiment grows and we support more and more local, that has to happen. Success has to continue, in the standings and in the W column. And then obviously Ohio State would have to throw some backing too, honestly,
Yeah, I don't know if I want to get in the weeds of all this too much tonight, but there's some politics behind the scenes where Ohio State has thrown their weight around with the Big Ten and has basically said no one ever in the state of Ohio is allowed in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
That really happened.
Yeah.
So you're right. Ohio State would probably have to be like, okay, but with college football's landscape changing so much, Ohio State might not have a say at all. Yeah. When that happens.
We talked about the Super League last week, and if we look who's behind it, it's not the potential Power 2 teams that are really pushing that. It's people from the ACC, and then they're throwing the names of the people in the Big 12 and the Pac-12 up there, and it seems more like the hope is that they get the rest of the smaller fry in line to really push for that and give collective bargaining power to a bigger audience before they're left behind. And say, hey, look, Alabama, look, Ohio State, look, Michigan, look, whoever the number 2 SEC school is for that year. You need some people to beat up on and some cannon fodder, and to make your conference look good and give you competition,
Yeah.
Don't
isn't that why?
us.
Isn't that why Indiana's around? I mean,
yeah. Well, you look at the under league that they have in that proposition. If you've seen that slide, the promotion relegation, they would have to, again, it's collective bargaining power that they're trying to get ahead of before the Big 12 and the SEC do break away.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, and there's a whole nother aspect of this that no one's talking about. That is, what if the economy changes?
Yeah.
And that is out of anybody's control, right? So right now, everything is based off of the television deals, right? Well, if the money's no longer there from marketing aspects on television, those deals are going to change rapidly. If that were to happen, sports will have to change rapidly as well, which means things are going to go back to regionals.
Yeah.
Everything will be regionally, which means hello, Mac and Cincinnati and Indiana schools and maybe Kentucky and Louisville. Guess what? We're all in the same region. Get ready, buckle up, right? Like that. That's what it could possibly happen.
State champs.
And that's right. That's right. But at the end of the day, if there's no money there, how are you going to see that? The Ohio State has something that a lot of people fail to think about outside of the university. Ohio State has more sports than any other college in the country, which is why we are like 30 years running synchronized swimming national champions. There's only 4 schools that have synchronized swimming in the entire country, and Ohio State gets all the best synchronized swimming recruits, so they win it every year, right? But how do you pay for that? If you're going to start paying football players, that money that was going to synchronized swimming for their scholarship isn't there anymore. It's going to change things rapidly, and there's going to be a lot of trickle down that no one is talking about that is really going to happen. So yeah, it's exciting to talk about conference realignment, but the old dog in me hates this. Hates it. Give me the days of the Big 10 or the Big 2 and the Little 8, right? Like that's what we used to call it when I was a little kid, right? Those days, I mean, we might be going, it might take us getting to the Big 2 to eventually get back to the Big 10. It's crazy. It's wild. I guess that's why we just need to keep drinking.
Yeah,
exactly.
Pretty much.
The perfect way to cap that off, Eric. I think when you and I talked on your show a couple weeks ago, we talked about those older fans that are football Buckeyes, basketball Bearcats, and our demographics tell us that a decent amount of those gentlemen listen to us here. So if people are looking for more stuff on the OHIO or the Ohio podcast there,
sure.
Where can they find you? And then one more time on the College Huddle stuff as well.
Yeah, so the College Huddle is simple, thecollegehuddle.com. Yeah, we're a Buckeye guy owns it, so he had to put the word "the" in front of it. No, it's because College Huddle was chosen and they wanted $6,000 for it, and I'm like, I'll just add the word "the" and get it for like $20, thanks. So, thecollegehuddle.com. And if you want to find our podcast, if you're an Ohio State fan, it's the OHIOpodcast.com. So theohiopodcast.com. And the reason why we're the OHIO podcast is because if you go to a stadium, they'll yell out OHIO around the stadium. And we used to have OH exclamation mark, IO exclamation mark, and Ohio State sued me. So I'm no longer allowed to use that. So
did you get a C&D?
Oh yeah. That's when I knew I made it.
Dude, that's funny that you say. I've said that. I mean, like going back to the origins of this show, if I ever got a C&D, it'd be on the wall behind me, framed. Yeah. I'd certainly stop doing whatever it is they asked me to do, but it'd be framed behind me. So you have made it, sir. That made my day.
We had to take out the exclamation marks, move the word back to Ohio because they don't own the state name, and that's how we became just the Ohio podcast or the OHIO podcast. And of course, we had to change our logo because we were using their stripe on the helmet down the middle of the state in our logo, and we we weren't allowed to use the stripe either. So,
well, if they ever come for our drunken Bearcat, we know.
There you go.
Yeah, that's we'll just glaze over that, Darin. We're not going to address that right now.
Yeah, of course. What Bearcat?
Eric, I appreciate you, sir. I'm certainly sure that this is not the last time that you and I will talk, or you will be on this show, or one of us on yours, or interacting some way. So I certainly appreciate your time here, and even though we doubled the amount of time we asked for, certainly appreciate it.
Hey guys, listen, man, I'm excited for you guys, excited for the fall, excited for the growth in the College Huddle, and this Buckeye's rooting for the Bearcats this year in the Big 12, man. I'm all for Cincinnati having a great year in the Big 12. Let's make Ohio proud, right?
No,
we're gonna adopt you back, whether you like it or not. You're a part of Ohio.
Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome, guys.
All right, good stuff there from Eric on the College Huddle. I think we got the people up to speed and educated there.
Yeah.
Which is about the right time, because this beer that I'm sipping on, I'm not sipping on it. It's making its presence known, Darin. Should have brought a water down here as well. The second half of our show is to sort of I don't know if you want to call it a whip around. I like that title that you've given things here, but certainly a breakdown of a couple things here. We want to talk about. There's some major news in golf, some baseball news that's pretty exciting as well, and a lot of news coming out of the football side of things. So I think we should probably kick it off with the winner.
Yeah.
We hadn't talked about the hardware that the golf team brought home, not the team, but I guess the golf individual brought home from the Big 12 championships.
Yeah, Ty Gingrich, come on down. He earned himself a share of the individual Big 12 title. He really played an amazing game, and if we want to understand that, it was his first ever competition win. In his whole time of college.
On several, especially last year. I remember when I was following along. It seemed like last year heading into the final round. I don't know if it was the nerves or whatever kind of got him, and that was the round that kind of sunk him. He started off really well, but it's kind of not the opposite. But he started about 7 under the first round and went 2 over the second before reining it in for round 3 and 4, and it was. You were live discording, I guess. I forget who else was on there. Yeah. I was out. I was like, I want to watch this because it was dramatic. It was a dramatic finish.
It was,
a 40-footer putt to tie it from the kid from Oklahoma State. It was drama.
Yeah, it was on ESPN Plus, so you could have popped up your phone if.
I didn't think about that. No? I should have done that. My wife would have yelled at me for not freezing at the table. So
we're watching golf.
I know, right? I couldn't have contained myself when that guy would have hit that 40-footer. I'd have been like throwing my water down.
Yeah, no. The one thing that you got this time that you don't normally get, with like professional, or at least PGA and LPGA certified, is a lot of waiting to see what the other guys did as the leader. Ty played a really, I'd say his weak round was round 2. That's when he shot 74. Even still, most people would pray for that.
This guy. And
there was Brian. We were worried about Brian Stark from Texas, right for little Preston Stout, and then Sean De La Fuente from Houston. Those were kind of the people who were on his tail most of that last day. Ty really kind of just buckled down because because of the start, he had to start on the back 9 for his final round. So he finished on the arguably, I guess you could, for all the purposes of the easier holes, but sunk 3 straight birdies to really kind of put himself ahead. The announcers were right. I think they were saying he was going to need 10 to really solidify it. He ended up with 9 under, and that ended up being the 3-way tie between Preston Stout, Gustav Friedmont, and then obviously Ty himself. Gustav really kind of came out of nowhere that last half. he had the same back nine, he was on the front nine to finish the back nine of his game, where he also had 3 straight birdies to really finish the round, and then par to just kind of top it off. Because I think he was really close to taking it overall, but he couldn't sink the putt, long putt on 9 for that. And the Preston League seemed like there was almost no shot for him. A lot of natural talent, out of Oklahoma State as a freshman, true freshman. He just kind of seemed to get flustered a lot of moments when he, like he was going to come apart, but then sunk a 40-footer to make it a 3-way tie on that.
And everything.
Yeah. I mean, you want your guy to win it outright, but I mean, I'll take the one if that's what you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, it was impressive. I sent that to all of my friends. Like, we have a golf group chat and everything. I was like, you guys have to watch this. This is incredible. The pressure that you're on or that you have to sink that, and then like you said, coming out of nowhere to finish with a 3-way tie. Great stuff there from Ty for sure.
Yeah, is that our first? I want to say that might be our first Big 12 title of any kind.
I remember thinking that at the time, and yes.
Our diving? I don't know.
We will further research. Potentially the Bearcats' first Big 12 title. Potentially.
Oh, yeah, because we got men's baseball coming up. But, I mean, well, it still would be the first, regardless, timing-wise, I guess. But if that's...
True. I mean, that's a great segue, though, Darin.
Yeah.
If we want to incorporate some baseball talk here. Bearcats fans, who do we love to hate? It's certainly the Hilton Knight managers. And the Bearcats went down there and took 2 out of 3 for the series win.
Yeah. Yeah. We need to. At first I was like, man, we're gonna run into a buzzsaw with those guys, because they were ranked a week before that, but then West Virginia swept them, and yeah, I mean, at that point I kind of shifted towards we need to win the series, maybe not sweep, but win the series, and yeah, we did. There were some guys talking trash on that second game when UCF took it, and then they kind of got really quiet after we really kind of handed it to them this last game on Sunday. Yeah, so we take it 2-1. We really have to. It's gonna be a struggle. At this point, it's not really necessarily about like winning the outright regular season championship, but it's about finishing strong on that regard.
So we got West Virginia. That we know they're tough.
Yeah.
We have Oklahoma to finish the season at home at mid-May. We know they're tough. What do you know, or how big of a momentum swing would you say the other? So we got Ohio State. We should have asked Eric about this. Missed opportunity there. Yeah. We got Ohio State tomorrow up in Columbus. We play at Indiana in about a week or so. And then we're out in the mountains against BYU. I don't think any of those 3 teams are as good as Oklahoma or West Virginia. But if worst case scenario is we take Ohio State, Indiana, and we take the series against BYU.
Yes,
is that enough? What do we need to do to be on the right side of the bubble?
I think we need to get 3 to 4 wins.
3 to 4 wins out of West Virginia, Oklahoma.
West Virginia, Oklahoma, BYU. But you'd want to win the BYU series for sure, to at least get you 2 out of that, and then you want to sneak 1 past West Virginia and Oklahoma each, or at least 2, wherever you can get it. 3 would be, I think, Happeson okay. You just don't want to go completely 0-9 on that, essentially.
No, God, no. I'm just making a note of that because I want to see how close we are. On the baseball bubble there. So that's. Are you saying that it does Ohio State, Indiana, BYU, or not BYU? You said 2 wins there. Ohio State, Indiana, they don't really, or in UConn, not a whole lot of.
Yeah, because you're looking at your conference. you want to look at your conference wins. You want to play your best ball against them. Obviously, having an overall record is going to, get you ranked if you continue to be good, right? If you beat you want to beat your non-conference. Obviously, you don't want to throw games, but right now you're trying to win. Obviously, you want to be the best you can be, regardless, right? You want to win everything.
Win them all if you can, sure.
Yeah, but Big 12 championship tournament, right? Obviously, if you can get yourself into the rankings and play well enough and to maintain that and stay in there and stay in the top, maybe you get yourself an invitation to the World Series regardless. But with a good performance in the that's dreaming though, right? It's not unheard of, but it's dreaming. And we're not completely safe. That is the main thing. I want to say it's top 12 make it or top 10. Yeah, top 10, or I think.
Okay. There's the resume is not built. It's not like we're just
we're not cruising.
Like we still have work to do.
We still have work to do. Like I said, you want to win that series against BYU. They are the worst in the conference currently.
Okay, so that's important for sure.
Yeah. But in baseball, the margins are so thin. They're sitting at 17-24. Not too far off from some teams, even if it's below 500 on that. You flip that record, it looks pretty similar. They're still pretty bad. Don't get me wrong,
right?
But they're not going to just roll in there and steamroll people. You want to play. They are currently on a 9-game losing streak, so maybe you hope they get their bump somewhere and before you play them, because they're bound to catch somebody. So.
That has me checking their schedule right now. Miami, that's a weird M. I've never seen that M before.
Yeah.
It's a Old English M. Utah Valley, Grand Canyon before us. What is this? That is. I've never seen an Old English M for Miami, Florida. They just must do it weird for baseball. That's interesting.
Yeah, a little script.
No, Grand Canyon's after us. Yeah. They're gonna have to get a win at Miami or Utah Valley. Hopefully, it's one of those. That blew my mind there for a second. Let's plenty of watch for baseball.
Yeah.
I want to be more dialed in there because I want to. Being on the bubble is fun when you didn't expect that. The opposite of basketball fun.
People are taking notice though. People are taking notice.
They are, and we're working on that. I don't want to give away too much because I want to make that happen for next week. Mm-hmm. But people are taking notice of the Bearcats, and
without giving too much away, Jordan Bischel's name is just out there. They thought he was going to go other places before the Bearcats snagged him up, and they're surprised he didn't before. He landed to us. But they're kind of like, oh, he's doing it again. He's won everywhere he's went and elevated the program. So you hope, you can keep him for a while and he keeps elevating the program, obviously. But there's always a bigger fish also. That's just the nature of the business. Money rules sports, unfortunately, even at the amateur level. So, he's got them believing in playing, his ball, and he's just a good coach. Good strategist. He knows how to rotate his guys the way he needs to. Obviously, like I said, that those younger arms are going to have to get better throughout this year. And according to him, and from what we've seen, that they seem to be really growing into playing college baseball. And everybody in that room has been contributing. They've had some people have off days, but some people have had some good days too, which is what you need. We're 11-10 right now, so we have a winning record currently. Like I said, West Virginia is they are tough. They're tough. They mean business. We're playing them here though, I believe. So that is what is important.
You said a phrase to transition to basketball, which we're just going to spend a second on here today. You said elevating the program, which is what Coach Wes Miller is working on. Damn it! And we don't have any news as far as new guys coming in from the transfer portal. I think we hit on the new guys last week. or the week before, maybe actually, as I lose track of time here. But we've talked about Page. We've talked about Hickman. We are in talks with I don't know talks, but we're certainly I think a finalist for the forward from Duke. And from what I've heard, and by what I've heard, I mean someone who I trust who is in the know, the Bearcat Bunch has said that he's Stewart. He's expected to make a decision like around May 6th. And it's going to come down to some. I mean, I think UC's heavily involved and certainly stands a chance. But we will know more on him in about a week. Other than that, I don't want to talk too much about basketball here because we have some basketball things in the works for later episodes. We're gonna try to bring a certain Slangin character out of retirement for something here in a couple weeks. To talk football, though, we got a decent amount of football here to talk. I want to lead this off here, Darin, and then I want you. You've done extensive homework here, and we got to talk about that. However, Jawan Briggs, 7th rounder. You can see here on my screen. Cleveland Briggs fan, not a Browns fan. I'm a Briggs fan. All right. He just tweeted out. Great follow on Twitter, by the way. He just tweeted out that he will be wearing the number 53 for Cleveland. Okay, that's. You might say, so what? However, he just tweeted out upon the NFL jersey numbers official account tweeting out Briggs number 53. There might be some thought process behind this. Everyone's favorite bank here in the state of Cincinnati has very similar numbers. And he just tweeted out making banking. And then his number, a picture of his number, Briggs 53, with another tweet, better. Making banking a 5th third better is his 2 tweets that he just sent out. Well done, sir. Well done. If I didn't already bank with 5th third, I would go there tomorrow to open up an account with a tweet. So that's our I guess off the top NFL draft analysis. Briggs to the Browns. He joins at least 2 other Bearcats up there, right?
Yeah, Ford and Hudson. Yeah,
Ford and Hudson. Yeah, so a lot of love there from that team up there by the lake, which I know some Bengals fans are not big supporters of them. But
they just keep lucking out and taking like as a homer of Cincinnati, you won't UC guys to come play. They just keep going to Cleveland. It's a great time to be a Cleveland / UC Bearcat alum. Like
weirdly enough, I know a lot of those guys. I think I know all of the Bearcats Browns fans.
Yeah. They can't keep getting away with this as a Bengals fan. give us some homers. I want to be a homer for once. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I would assume 5th third banks are up in Cleveland, but I certainly hope he signs some sort of deal to be the next face of 5th third banking.
That'd be nice. Yeah,
that would be fun. Making banking a 5th third bank. What a genius tweet by Jawan Briggs. Dude is smart. If you've ever watched any sort of interview with him.
Well, Walnut Hills grad, so.
Oh, right. Okay, there you go. You're linked up there for sure. Well done, sir. Well done. As far as Bearcats that are still here on the roster, or maybe not here on the roster. What do you got for us on a football update? There's kind of a lot to digest here.
Well, let's stay on the pros real quick, just to get Emory Jones. He signed with the Ravens, and then Daniel Zerziak. I can never pronounce his last name. Signs with the Buccaneers. Those are the only 2 that I've seen that end up signing out of the seniors that were available. I think Ryan Montgomery, Van, Taj Ward, all unsigned, at least my last time checking. Hopefully that they find a way to break in somewhere. That would obviously make us proud. I know Emory Jones' time here didn't end the way people wanted, but you still root for their success. Maybe he pieces some things together and figures it out. Clearly, they saw something. They signed him. So, they see projects that they can work So hopefully there's something there. Good place for him to learn too. Under a Harbaugh.
True.
But yeah, whipping back to here and now. The tight end room gets a little bit thinner. Barrick Falk and Peyton Singletary enter the portal. Not too surprised there. I mean, some of those freshmen have really been pushing, from what I heard, and obviously Joe Royer is here and is healthy. So, that room thinned out a little bit, especially also with a wide receiver room getting healthier.
Singletary was kind of surprising to me.
Yeah.
Not have been. When I saw that name, I was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah. I mean, and Barrett makes sense. I mean, he benefited last year from a really banged up tight end room and a really thin wide receiver room to get some touches last year. So he's got some tape, luckily. And obviously wish him all the best. Hopefully land someplace and make an impact. Also, Raycon Atkins went in report last week, but has found himself in some legal trouble, unfortunately. Assault charges that he is facing, unfortunately. Don't need to get too into weeds on that. Make good decisions, y'all. Put yourself in better situations. Also, check on your friends. Goes without saying. Rest in peace, Corey Cunningham.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, check on your friends, check on your people. You never know what they're going through. And if you hard to do if you're someone who's feeling down yourself, reach out. People may not be able to understand, but they want you around, they care for you. So, rest of them, him and DJ Jowdy, obviously. And, like I said, check on your people, reach out if you need help. People care for you. On a lighter note, Fletcher, Max Fletcher has signed, committed. I thought something was up when his brother was retweeting him leaving Arkansas. So we're going to have 3 more years of Fletcher, from what I understand, after that. And I'm excited about that. So usually people want to play that way, but I guess he's good sitting, maybe. I don't know.
Hang out with his brother, I mean, that's a good situation. I think people don't get too excited about punters, but I mean it's definitely a vital position on the field. So having hopefully what it equates to 3 more years of the rake, or the rake. Is he a younger brother or older brother? I'm guessing younger, right? So maybe he's the new and improved rake. So
they're like dead ringers for each other too. Like
they are. They look like twins for sure.
He's here. You call him the rake or the shovel after that? I don't know.
We got to find a new nickname for him for sure.
Kate Rutherford, D tackle, commits to Cincinnati, which makes sense. I showed some concern for that D line a little bit. Who we got starting behind in the depth. He plays tackle as well, so I think they might try to put him on the edge on that as well. And then we signed Xavier Lazowski. Lazowicki? Yeah, Lazowicki. He can all names team. Offensive tackle. So it's funny. We've been shopping offensive linemen. I'm guessing they're not completely satisfied with what they got here on that front. And then some cornerbacks too, I think, that we're still looking at. So they may not be completely happy with that DB room as well. So that's going to be interesting to see what we got coming in and out of summer camp. That's your Bearcats whip around.
I mean, we still a lot of things. I'm glad you're here to keep track of all the football happening, because I certainly would. It would make my head spin. So I appreciate that for sure. That's all I have. Loaded episode here. We went from grandeur of college sports down to golf and baseball and back up to basketball and football before it was all over, Darin. I'm probably going to go drink a water before I get myself into trouble here, because this beer is about gone.
Well, stay hydrated. So yeah,
got to stay hydrated on this Monday evening. appreciate the work, and we will be back next week, and hopefully with another phenomenal guest to talk some more Bearcats things.
Woo-woo.
All right. Cheers. Go Bearcats.
Cheers. Go Bearcats.